They didn't just come for his oil this time, they came for his blood. West Texas doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. And in Landman Season 3, the Permian Basin isn't just pumping crude, it's pumping vengeance. Because Tommy Norris isn't fighting for profit anymore. He's fighting for survival. And when a man like Tommy runs out of patience, wells don't just blow. Empires do. The trailer for Landman Season 3 doesn't waste time. No slow build, no polite warnings, just fire. Explosions ripping through rigs, black smoke clawing into the Texas sky, and Tommy standing in the middle of it all like a man who finally understands the rules of the game. Or maybe, like a man who's ready to break them. Remember when Tommy thought becoming president of MTEX was the top of the mountain? Cute. That mountain has turned into a graveyard. Monty's shadow still lingers. The cartel deal still whispers through back channels. And Bradley? Oh, Bradley is smiling way too much for a man whose competitors keep surviving accidents. Coincidence? In the oil patch? Please. Season 3 opens with something darker. There's a shift. Tommy's eyes don't look tired anymore. They look calculated, controlled, dangerous. Because when your daughter gets threatened, when your son gets hunted, when your home turns into a target, business stops being business. It becomes personal. And let's talk about Cooper. The kid survived explosions, ambushes, sabotage, but survival changes a man. In the trailer, he's not just working the rigs, he's watching the shadows, carrying a weapon like it's part of his uniform now. The innocence? Gone. The question is he becoming his father or something even colder? Then there's Angela. Every time she walks into a frame, you can feel the tension snap like a wire about to spark. She loves Tommy, but love doesn't stop bullets. And it definitely doesn't stop cartel threats. When she asks him, when does this end? The silence that follows says everything. Because deep down, we know the answer. It doesn't. But here's where it gets interesting. The trailer hints that the enemy isn't just across the border anymore. It's closer. Boardroom close. Someone feeding information. Someone moving pieces behind polished smiles and million-dollar suits. Rebecca's name flashes on encrypted files. Bradley's handshake lingers a little too long. And suddenly, the question isn't who's attacking Tommy, it's who's standing next to him while it happens. We see rigs sabotaged with surgical precision, not random destruction. Strategic hits, weak points targeted, payments delayed, loans tightening. Almost like someone understands Tommy's expansion plans before he announces them. How convenient. And then the line drops. You wanted to run your own empire, Norris. Now defend it. The bloody oil game continues, but this time it's layered. Cartel muscle, corporate greed, internal betrayal, and in the middle of it, Tommy building CTT into something powerful enough to challenge them all. New rigs, new leases, bigger risks. Because if you're already a target, why play small? But power attracts predators. One quick shot in the trailer shows a drone hovering over a rig. Not Tommy's. Surveillance? Threat? Or warning? And another scene, a masked figure watching his house from a distance. The camera lingers just long enough to make you uncomfortable. Just long enough to ask, is this about money anymore? Or is someone trying to erase Norris completely? Tommy's voice in the trailer is different. Lower, slower. He says, "They think fear makes me fold." And then, gun being loaded. Click. Fear makes me focus. That's not a businessman talking. That's a man preparing for war. And Bradley, still polished, still hosting investor dinners like half the basin isn't on fire. He talks about market correction, about natural consolidation. Translation? If Tommy falls, Bradley absorbs everything. And if the cartel benefits too. Well, strange how enemies sometimes share goals. But here's the twist that really bites. There's a moment, blink and you miss it, where Tommy looks at a file. Someone close to him. An old ally, a familiar name tied to offshore transfers. The betrayal angle is back, because nothing in this world collapses from the outside alone. It rots from within. So now the rise of Norris begins, not as a president, but as a man who finally stops playing defense. The trailer screams escalation. Guns drawn in daylight, border crossings at night, a warehouse meeting that doesn't end in handshakes. And one chilling final shot of this section. Tommy standing on a rig platform at sunrise, oil spraying behind him like black rain. his face unreadable. Is this the birth of a king, or the beginning of his fall? Because in Season 3, oil isn't the only thing rising, so is the body count. And if betrayal is already inside the house, who fires the first real shot? The problem with revenge, it doesn't knock, it kicks the door in and makes itself comfortable. Season 3 of Landman doesn't just raise the stakes, it detonates them. Because now that Tommy has chosen war, the battlefield expands. And in the Permian Basin, war doesn't look like tanks and uniforms. It looks like contracts canceled overnight, wells mysteriously failing pressure tests, armed men parked just a little too close to your daughter's school, subtle, ruthless, effective. The trailer leans hard into the paranoia. There's a quick exchange. A banker telling Tommy his credit line is under review. Under review? After record production numbers? That's not finance. That's pressure. Someone higher up is squeezing. And we all know Bradley doesn't just play oilmen, he plays influence. Politicians, regulators, investors. He doesn't need to fire a shot if he can starve you first. But starving Tommy Norris? That's like trying to drown a shark. Instead of pulling back, Tommy doubles down. New drilling sites, riskier leases, expansion into zones other companies abandoned years ago. People call it reckless. He calls it leverage. Because if he hits big, really big, the entire power structure shifts. Suddenly, he's not the underdog fighting for scraps. He's the man holding the biggest piece of the basin. And that terrifies everyone. Cooper feels it too. There's a tension in him this season that wasn't there before. He's not just the son learning the ropes anymore. He's making calls, hard ones. The trailer shows him arguing with Tommy, not about safety, not about money, but about strategy. "You're thinking like they do," Cooper says. And Tommy's response? That's the only way to beat them. Uh-oh, because when you start thinking like your enemies, how long before you start acting like them? Meanwhile, whispers spread through the crews. Roughnecks don't scare easy, but they talk. They've seen the sabotage, they've seen the bodies carried off rigs under tarps, and when a veteran hand mutters, "This feels organized," you know it's not random violence. It's coordinated. Cartel muscle on the ground, corporate knives in the boardroom. And right in the middle of it all, Rebecca. Now, here's where the gossip energy spikes. The trailer gives us just enough to doubt her. A late-night phone call she doesn't explain. A document she closes a little too fast when Tommy walks in. And then that one line, "I did what I had to do." Excuse me? That's never a comforting sentence in this world. Is she protecting CTT or protecting herself? Tommy confronts her. You can feel it. Not explosive, not loud, just cold, controlled, dangerous. If you're playing both sides, he tells her, you better decide which one wins. And the look she gives back? That's not fear, that's calculation. And while all this internal tension builds, the external attacks get bolder. A convoy ambushed on a back highway, fuel trucks torched, insurance refusing to cover terror-related damages. The word terror floating around oil fields in Texas. That's not good press. Investors start to hesitate. Bradley steps in publicly, offering stability to smaller operators. He positions himself like a savior, but saviors don't usually smile when their competition bleeds. There's a scene in the trailer. Bradley at a press event, calm as ever. The Basin needs responsible leadership, he says. Responsible. Translation, not Tommy. It's subtle character assassination. Paint Norris as unstable. Emotional. Reckless. Make the market turn on him. And here's the dangerous part. It's working. Angela sees it first. She watches the news. She sees Tommy's name dragged through headlines. Oil man linked to border violence. Linked. Not proven. Just linked. That's all it takes. She asks him again, is this worth it? And for a second, just a second, Tommy hesitates. But then another rig goes dark. Another threat lands. Another reminder that walking away won't stop the hunt. Because this isn't about money anymore. It's about dominance. If Tommy retreats, he signals weakness. And weakness in this world? That's a death sentence. The trailer's pacing speeds up here. Quick cuts of armed security on rigs. Cooper training crews on emergency protocols. Angela moving through the house with quiet fear. A drone shot, literal and metaphorical, of CTT's main site, surrounded by open land, exposed, vulnerable. And then comes the twist that flips everything. An anonymous leak hits the press. documents suggesting Bradley has offshore connections to a shell company tied to cartel money laundering. It explodes online. Speculation everywhere. Is Bradley clean? Is he using the cartel to wipe out competition? Tommy didn't release it. Or did he? That's the beauty of Season 3. The lines blur. Because if Tommy didn't leak it, who did? And if he did, congratulations. He's no longer just defending himself. He's playing offense at a corporate level. Bradley's reaction in the trailer? Not panic, not denial, just one chilling sentence. If Norris wants to go public, we'll go personal. And suddenly, the war shifts again. Because corporate scandals are one thing, personal destruction is another. The last moments of this section show Tommy standing in his warehouse office, staring at a map covered in marked sites. Red circles, blue lines, black X's. It looks less like a business plan and more like a military operation. Cooper steps in and asks, "What's the move?" Tommy doesn't answer immediately. He just says, "We stop reacting." And that right there, that's the scariest development of all. Because when a man who's been under attack decides to stop reacting, he starts initiating. So now the question isn't whether Tommy can survive, it's how far he's willing to go to win. And if going further means crossing a line he can never uncross, will he even hesitate? You know it's bad when the explosions stop, and the silence feels louder. Season 3 tightens the noose slowly. No flashy ambush. No dramatic gunfight. Just pressure. Quiet, suffocating pressure. And in Landman, silence is never peace. It's preparation. After the leak that rattled Bradley's empire, the power dynamic shifts, but not the way Tommy expected. Instead of lashing out publicly, Bradley goes invisible. No press, no statements, no retaliation, just a sudden calm across the basin. Contracts stabilize, regulators back off. Even the sabotage pauses. Too clean. Tommy notices it immediately. "They're regrouping," he mutters. Because men like Bradley don't absorb humiliation quietly. They reposition. And the cartel? They don't forgive embarrassment. If anything, that leak paints a target on Tommy's back bigger than before. But here's where it gets dangerous. Tommy starts anticipating moves that haven't happened yet. He increases armed patrols, doubles security budgets, installs surveillance across CTT properties. He trusts fewer people, talks less in meetings, watches more. Power suits.